Okay, we are live. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I know we've got Daddy Boggs and Kate and Zep Pearl just joined us. Thank you all very much. Highly recommend you all go to Zep Pearl's channel. I've got Dan McNew, my co-host here, and I highly recommend everybody subscribe to Dan's channel. He's getting ready to start a new show too. I think you said Wednesday nights, but you're going to be interviewing a
Yeah,
lot of
it,
bands and
yeah, it
bands
may end up.
things like that.
It may be Thursday nights. I'm not sure.
Thursday night. Oh, okay, okay. Well, anyway, we're looking forward to that. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic show. Laurel Rossman just joined us. Fantastic, and Malaya joined us as well. Thank you guys. I just want to thank everybody that's joined us so far, and I really want to thank everyone that's subscribed to the show, old and new. We're the show, the show. Excuse me, guys, getting tongue tied. The show is slowly building up in size. We're getting halfway to the first 1,000 subscribers and things like that. JBL L100 Classic Fan Club just joined us. Thank you, sir. We appreciate seeing you here. Anyway, so the chat's starting to build up. Tonight we're going to talk about Otis Redding, soul artist Otis Redding, and what makes Otis Redding really, really special to me. And Dan's probably heard me say this before. I know several people have heard me say it. I loved Otis Redding and I loved soul music. In about 1968, we were kind of post the high, the peak of the British invasion, all those great English bands that came over here. We're 64, 65 was a highlight there. So we're talking about 68 now. And it was pre-Woodstock. And there was a period of time there for about a year, and it seemed like all me and my friends were listening to was soul music. We absolutely loved it. And it's sad to say, but at that point, Otis Redding never made it far enough to be in the 27 Club. Otis Redding actually died at the age of 26. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But Otis Redding was my favorite soul artist. I loved Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, Wilson Pickett, Mustang Sally, Percy Sledge, When a Man Loves a Woman. I mean, there was just so many. The Isley Brothers. Jimi Hendrix played guitar for the Isley Brothers and lived with one of the Isley Brothers for something like 4 years, lived at their house, and taught his son Ernie how to play music, how to play the guitar. And I've heard Ernie play live, and he sounds just like Hendrix. But anyway, so I was a huge soul fan. There was nothing we listened to more than we listened to soul. We want to welcome Daddy Boggs.
Hi, guys.
Daddy Boggs knows what I'm talking about. I'm sure he listened to a lot of soul music. Huge Sam Cooke fan.
Yes, Sam
and
Cooke.
Daddy Boggs, I'm sure knows this, but I call Otis Redding, the Crown Prince. He's also referred to as the King of Soul, but he cites as his own influences both Sam Cooke and Little Richard. He actually goes on to say that he wouldn't have stayed with music if it hadn't been for Little Richard. He actually wound up in a backing band of Little Richard's for a while also. But he had an interesting life. He had a hard life, several kids in the family. Dad developed tuberculosis and was often hospitalized. He had to quit high school at 15 years old to help support the family, pumping gas, doing odd jobs. He was getting paid to sing a little bit on a radio station, something like $5 a song. 15 weeks in a row, he won a talent contest. I think he was paid, I think it was $15 each week he got paid for that. And then he finally got noticed. But anyway, so he had kind of a tough life, grew up in kind of a housing project, predominantly black, and in Georgia. And like I said, quit school at 15 years old to help support his family because dad had tuberculosis and mom was the main breadwinner. So anyway, so that was a pretty harsh life. And so Daddy Boggs, I know that you are a big fan of Sam Cooke, and you probably have Otis Redding music also.
Well, when we were on that other show, when we were displaying albums,
okay,
I pulled out an album, and you had the same album.
And I still have it.
The one with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. One side is Jimi Hendrix.
There you go.
One side is Otis Redding, and it's the Monterey Pop Festival. And that's where Otis really first got introduced to a broader audience. Prior to that, it was mostly an African American audience, but he was really introduced to a broader audience there. And I was in a thrift store just the other day, and for $1 I picked up the ultimate Otis Redding CD. I picked up a bunch of really great CDs for $1 a piece. I couldn't pass them up. And this has pretty much all the greats. Respect, made famous later by Aretha Franklin. It was a number one hit for her, but Otis Redding actually wrote it. Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. Issued.
You cannot avoid that song.
No, I've said before. Maybe you guys even heard me say it. I say it in jest, but I say, if you know anybody that's heard Dock of the Bay or listened to it more times than I have, introduce me to him. I want to shake his hand, because I have listened to that song. I have put my CD player on repeat and listened to it 4, 5, 6 times in a row, and I can never get enough of some of those songs. You know,
does it take you? Does it take you back in time to a certain place when you hear that?
You know, it really, really does. It really does. It takes me back to the Southern Nevada desert. Me and my friends parked out there in cars, having something to drink and listening to soul music, you know, at 16 years old. And man, we were just soul fanatics. And that was, like I said, it was like pre-Woodstock, pre-Summer of Love, with the whole migration to San Francisco. You know, the bands playing at Golden Gate Park, you know, the Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, Big Brother and the Holding Company, Santana, all those bands played for free there, you know, like every week. It was just something else. And anyway, so you know, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you're done talking about Otis, I got a couple other albums that people might have been influenced by his music. So I pulled a few other albums.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you.
Well, no, go ahead and pull them up. Let's talk.
You want me to do it now?
Sure, that's fine.
You don't want to talk about Otis first?
Well, okay, yeah. We're going to be talking about Otis all night. Let's see. He performed in talent shows at the historic Douglas Theater. 1958, he joined the Johnny Jenkins band, the Pinetoppers, with whom he toured the southern states as a singer and driver. An unscheduled appearance on a Stax recording session led to a contract and his first hit single, These Arms of Mine. And that was a very good song. I've heard that song many times. Mm-hmm. And you know, it progressed until he was a solo act, and he was signed by let's see, I have that here somewhere. He was signed by Stax, but they were owned by Atlantic. They were owned by Atlantic. Atlantic wound up owning everything. But when it comes, what I liked about, what I loved about Otis Redding was the range, and it wasn't really measured in highs and lows like a lot of people. How many octaves type of voice you have? I think, you know, opera singers have, most of them, 4-octave voices. Axl Rose has, I think, a 5-octave voice, believe it or not. But the way I always measured, and I think most people measure Otis Redding's voice, is by the emotions in it. When I listen to Otis Redding, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I hear pain, I hear agony, I hear suffering, and on occasion even happiness. But I've never heard a more emotional voice than Otis Redding's voice.
You got his big song, what's it? Try a Little Tenderness.
Try a Little Tenderness.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable. That's right. Yeah. Respect, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. I mean, he's got some phenomenal hits. I mean, we listened to this CD for 2 days driving around, Betty and I.
Funky Broadway.
Is it on here? Are you asking? Or no, it's not on here.
But that's one of his hits, though, right? Funky Broadway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You know, it's got That's What My Heart Needs, Tramp, I Can't Turn You Loose. Of course, Respect, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, These Arms of Mine, Pain in My Heart. There's 20 songs there, but Funky Broadway is not one of them, you know. So anyway, Otis became a really popular singer. He even traveled on the Chitlin circuit we talked about when we did our Crossroads blues thing. They had the Chitlin circuit, predominantly a safe place for Southern blacks to go out on tour, you know, during the early 60s, when it wasn't real safe for a lot of them. So anyway, as time went on, he became a major recording artist. When he really got popular when he wound up going to the Monterey Pop Music Festival. and the album we both have, half Jimi Hendrix, half Otis Redding. That's where he was introduced to a much broader audience and gained even more popularity. Was through that Monterey Pop Festival, and sadly, I talked about the range of emotions, the hoarse, gritty vocals, backed up by a brassy arrangement. That's another thing I liked about Otis Redding. He had an amazing horn section behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely amazing. I mean, like, I don't think I've heard since. I know Chicago and bands like that were big horn sections, and even Sly and the Family Stone had horns, but it's not that common in rock anymore. You get the occasional, deep saxophone solo on a Rolling Stones song or something like that, but you don't hear a lot of horns in the rock bands. Sometimes when they're performing, they'll bring, they'll bring extra people, and they'll have more horns, and sometimes 2 and 3 even drummers. But we've got a lot of people in the chat right now. Jeff Davidson has joined us. Mary Jane, hi Mary Jane. Marvin Dershowitz has joined us. Laurel Rossman, Angela. Let's see, I'm missing a lot. I'm talking too much, and I'm missing all these great people that are joining us. And I just want to say hi to everybody. And once again, thank everybody that's subscribed already. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and please do. It just helps the show grow. We're plodding along. The show's growing, but we'd like to get there a little quicker if we could. And we just got joined by Psycho's Platters. Psycho's Platters has a good show, as does the Breakfast Kings of Loyola. Breakfast Kings of Loyola. Sorry, Breakfast Kings. I always see you over on Rachel's show. Anyway, he's got a good show too. Check him out. Check them all out. Subscribe to him. Zep Pearl, the whole crew. And anyway, so he's got the hoarse, gritty vocals and emotional way with both party tunes and aching ballads. I mean, this is how people describe him. Aching ballads. He's got so much emotion in his voice. It's like midpoint between an impassioned oratory and conventional singing. The delivery overflows with emotion. In his song, I Can't Turn You Loose, Booker T describes Redding's singing as energetic and emotional, but his vocal range was limited, reaching neither low nor high. It's just a gruff emotional voice, and it's just fantastic. I love his voice. And like I said, I was a big fan of his. And so he played the Monterey Pop Festival, was introduced to a much wider audience. Earlier, like I said already, at age 15, he had to drop out of school to help support the family because dad had tuberculosis. His breakthrough actually came in 1958 on disc jockey Hamp Swan's The Teenage Party, a talent contest at the local Roxy. Anyway, he won that talent show 15 weeks in a row and got paid a few dollars every time he won it. But that's how amazing his voice was. Go ahead, Dan.
His sister said that Otis was pretty much a prodigy because in their family he had 5 brothers and sisters, and their father really wanted them to get educated and have religion. So they went to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
They all graduated from high school. They all went to college. All got degrees except for Otis Redding. Otis is the only one that didn't go to college. Like you said, he dropped out at 15. But his dad, said he had such a perfect voice. He knew exactly that Otis was going to be a singer one day, an entertainer. So so it didn't bother him that he didn't get an education because he knew he was going to be successful. And so he sang at the church. He sang at all these little contests, and and kept his focus on that instead of going to college.
Yeah, and he did great. He made a lot of money for the times he was doing this in.
He didn't really have a very long career when you think about it.
No, I think it was 1966 or 7. Somebody said he made more money than both Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin combined that year.
Wow.
I mean, he was getting paid really, really, really well, like $135,000 per concert. And he bought a big ranch in Georgia. And he became very financially successful.
Well, it's so successful that, once he formed the band, that he played with the Barkays, they used to travel around in station wagon to get to the gigs. Well, he finally made enough money where he bought his own airplane.
He bought his own Beechcraft.
Yeah, Beechcraft, and that's how they got around to most of the gigs. Although I think some of the crew would always go on land with the equipment ahead, and then they would fly behind them, and get to the gig, and everything was already all set up for them. But and here's a little odd fact that I read.
Okay.
Talk about how much money he had made. Well, when after they recovered his body, and they looked in his wallet, he had $302 in his wallet. That's equivalent to $2,500 today.
Wow.
So imagine, walk around with $2,500 in your pocket. Who does that? Back then they didn't have ATM cards either. So I guess cash was what the main thing.
Right.
You had so many other black individual singers then. You had Lloyd Price, Arthur Connolly. Do you like good soul music?
Right.
There's so many of them back then.
Yeah, he was a member of Pat T and the Mighty Panthers early on. He toured, like I said, the southern United States on the Chitlin Circuit, a string of venues that were hospitable to African-American entertainers during an era of racial segregation. And that's all interesting. We've talked about that before on another show. Let's see, what else do we have here? Atlantic Records showed interest around 1962. They sent him to Stax Studio in Memphis. Redding drove Jenkins to the session, and because Jenkins didn't have driver's license, whatever. Anyway, he finally got signed, and he was off and running. He started making great songs, and So they left a couple of concerts, and they were flying to, I think it was Madison, Wisconsin. And like Dan had already mentioned, this was a plane that he owned. It was his own Beechcraft airplane. And
that's about the size of a DC-3. It's a pretty good sized little airplane.
No, it's a pretty good sized twin engine Beechcraft. Yeah. It held a lot of people. Yeah, it held a lot of people because there were, I think 9 people on board, and only one of them survived. They were 4 miles shy of the Madison, Wisconsin airport. The pilot called in and wanted to get clearance for landing. They gave him the clearance to land. And they wound up crashing into a frigid lake 4 miles shy of the airport.
Well, I read up a little bit about that plane crash, and the NTSB never did find a cause for the crash. They never did determine what caused the plane crash, but they kind of reconstructed what had happened on the last moments. Yeah. Well, of course, when they left, it all started off when they were leaving Cleveland. And they get out to the airplane, they go to crank that plane up, and it won't start. It's really, really cold out. So, a couple of the people in the band look at each other like, well, this isn't good.
Exactly.
So I guess they kind of jump started the plane, finally got it going. And they were warned ahead of time. There's bad weather up in Wisconsin. It
was rain. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. They decided to fly anyway. So they went ahead and took off, and as they're heading towards Madison on the final approach, the first time around, they actually had to fly around because he came in too high. So
they had to do a go around. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So he had to do a go around, came in again, and because of the weather, they're kind of thinking that maybe the wings iced up because he came in and he was actually too low, and the survivors said they felt the plane was shaking around. All of a sudden, it just went down. It went down quick.
Oh, wow.
And so they're speculating that, it may have been ice buildup on the wings.
May have been ice buildup. That's exactly right. Or look what happened to John F. Kennedy Jr. That was speculation there was he didn't have really a lot of outside references, at night. And he probably got spatial disorientation. And what happens is, I'm a private pilot, and I've owned an airplane, and I've experienced that. I can remember you always have a little flashlight handy in case some gauges go out or the lights go out on the gauges. You see your instruments. And so I dropped my flashlight. I had my wife and 3 kids in the airplane with me. I dropped my flashlight down on the floor, and I reached down for it. And when I did, like you might in a car, I turned the wheel, and the plane, of course, went into just a real slight little dive. It wasn't anything out of control or anything whatsoever. But when the plane starts to go, downhill, just like a car, you're still accelerating. It gets louder. So all of a sudden the engine got real loud, and I pulled the plane, lifted it back up, and I'm flying straight and level, maintaining altitude. and the engine,
Wow, sound effects.
just like that, and the engine continues to get louder, and it's kind of freaking me out a little bit. That's like spatial disorientation. You start to get disoriented. Your mind and your ears, they all start playing tricks on you. I had a friend that was a pilot that taught me to fly, and he was in the clouds, and he was an IFR pilot that became a commercial pilot, instrument rated pilot. But he was in the clouds, and the instruments told him he was flying straight and level, but he felt like he was flying like this, and so he kept trying to straighten it out. But yet the instrument, and this guy beat it into my head: trust your instruments. Your mind will lie to you. Trust your instruments. And so that was kind of weird that that happened to me, and it was actually weird that it happened to him too. But we're going to show a little video now that Dan brought, and this is a picture of Otis's film of Otis Redding's plane coming out of the water. But first, let me welcome my younger brother, Richard Eddings. He's got.
I'm anxiously waiting to see his background when he takes the sheet down.
No, this is my new classic background. I got a bunch of boxes stacked back here that I think they look better than this thing I got hanging up though. I'm not ready to take it down.
I encourage everybody to go to my younger brother's show and check him out. He's saving souls over there. He hasn't quite saved mine yet. We're still working on it. But Richie's got a great show, The Jesus Movement, and he's a lot of fun. He plays his acoustic guitar throughout the show, a lot of original songs and stuff. Aren't you guys still making an album, you and some other people, Rich?
I'm doing it by myself now. I mean,
oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I've been lazy, but I'm still working on it. I got 8 songs so far, and I got a bigger recorder, and I'm trying to figure out how to transfer my other ones from the 8-track recorder to the 24-track now. So I've got 4 on the 24-track and 5 on the 8-track right now. And I'll get them over there, but I don't want to do them all over, man. It took me a long time. But I know there's a way to transfer them. You got to go to a computer, then to because the bigger recorders is like a computer. Right. So right. I got to come from a computer into that. So, and I got all the hookups and everything, and I'm figuring it out. So. Okay, good. Yeah. Then I'll get busy again. Okay, cool. Okay, we're gonna show this video right now, and this is a video of Otis Redding's plane being taken out of the lake. Oh my goodness.
And they did find his body as well.
One thing they didn't find one of the propellers, and I think the landing gear they never did find. So that's probably still at the bottom of the lake.
Wow. Thank you, Zep Pearl. Appreciate it, buddy. Gloria. I think you're responding up here to Marvin.
Yeah, there's no audio on this video here.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Dan.
One thing, there was one survivor. That was the trumpet player in the band. He's the one that survived it, Ben Cawley.
Okay, yeah. I read there was one survivor.
I think
it was. Go ahead.
The thing that saved his life was he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Everybody else was wearing a seatbelt. Otis was actually sitting in the co-pilot position when it crashed. But the survivor, the trumpet player, did not have a seatbelt on. So when they crashed, it threw him out of the plane. And he said when he came to, he said he was holding on to a seat that was floating, and he held on to that seat because he couldn't swim. He said he was the only one on the plane that couldn't swim. Everybody else could swim, but I guess they're all belted in and went down with the plane.
Right.
And he said next thing you knew, the seat he was hanging on to got loose from him, and he's struggling.
Okay.
And he said, looked up, here comes another seat. He grabbed hold of that seat and held on to it. He said about 20 minutes later, they were out there in boats rescuing him, But yeah, he was the only one, and not having a seatbelt on saved his life.
That's just so crazy, you know. I mean, that kind of goes against the conventional wisdom, you know.
Now the trumpet player passed away in 2015.
Oh, he did.
And he said he lived with that nightmare the rest of his life.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. That's got to be terrible.
I think Richie's getting ready for Halloween.
Okay, now I'm all white now. This is white noise.
You're all white.
Are you happy, Daddy?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you wouldn't do too well on the Chitlin circuit, Rich.
You know, I've been working on this crap for a year, trying to get something going with backgrounds and everything. You can tell I haven't been working that hard, though, right?
Right. So you know, Stax Studio actually recorded Redding's debut album, and it was "Pain in My Heart." And like I said, it mostly appealed initially. His music appealed to African Americans. It wasn't until the Monterey Pop Music Festival that he gained that much wider, broader audience. You know, and so that's what was happening with Otis Redding. I've got a list of. I want to tell you guys how many albums Otis Redding made. He made 15 compilation albums. 15.
Wow.
He made 10 studio albums. He had 9 live albums, and he had 48 singles.
Wow.
I mean, that's kind of shocking. And I'm going to read off his the ranking of his top 5 albums. I didn't want to go any further than that. I could have written down his top 20, his top 50, you know. But anyway, so his number 1 album, 1965, was Otis Blue. His number 2 album, Dock of the Bay, was 1968. Released posthumously. He had already passed away. His number 3 most popular album was Complete and Unbelievable. It's a dictionary of soul, they called it. That was his number 3 most popular album. Number 4, he had the Soul album in 1966. And his 5th most popular album, again, goes back to that pained, agonizing singing style of his, was Pain in My Heart, 1964. So those were his top 5 albums. And again, pain, agony, phenomenal singer. Let's see. So, Daddy Boggs, if you want to show a couple of albums, I'm all ready for that.
I was going to say, when I listened to the oldies station with Scott Shannon, if you ever heard of him, he's pretty much nationwide with his oldies. It's called the True Oldies Channel.
Okay.
I'd say within 3 hours, there's a good chance I'm going to hear Dock of the Bay. It's one of the most popular oldies there is.
Oh, I'm telling you, I love that song.
Hotel California is another one I can't avoid. That's another very popular song.
Right. Well, it sounds like we're getting ready to hear a song right now.
No, I'm just cleaning it.
Well, you know, Otis Redding did very, very well financially. You know, he owned 200 suits. He owned 400 pairs of shoes. I think that's more than Imelda Marcos of the Philippines, you know. He earned $35,000 per week for his concerts. He spent about $125,000 on his ranch. He was the owner of, you know, Otis Redding Enterprises, of course. Music publishing ventures, royalties from record sales earned him more than $1 million in 1967 alone. And that's the year I told you a columnist said that he sold more records than Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin combined. And of course, after the release of Otis Redding Blue, Redding became a catalog artist. And a catalog artist, the albums were not immediately blockbusters, but rather so steady over time. And so he had a hell of a career, you know. And I know I want to get some more of his music. I'd like to get Otis Blue and a couple of the other top ones. And you know, at age 18, he met his 17-year-old wife. They got married, had some kids, and he played in some. You know, we did a show on Sunset Strip venues. Well, Otis played in a bunch of them, He played the Apollo Theater. Apollo Theater and Otis Blue, it was called. And These Arms of Mine and other songs from the 62-63 sessions were included on Redding's debut album, Pain in My Heart. So anyway, so he played at the Apollo Theater. He played at the Whiskey A Go-Go. A sample of Try a Little Tenderness, the song written by Jimmy Campbell, Red Conley, and Harry Woods in the 1930s, has been covered by many artists. Redding's rendition has been named the 204th greatest song of all time by Rolling Stone magazine.
The ending of that song is unreal.
Is it?
You ever heard the end of the song?
I don't know if I've heard the end of that song.
He goes on, and he's real strong.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, yeah. Got you. Yeah, he really goes off at the end of that. No, I've heard that.
He goes bonkers
many times. So he played at the Whiskey, played at the Apollo. So he was making the rounds at the Sunset clubs and doing his thing.
You know, Marvin mentioned that the concert that he did the night before the plane crash, I guess there was a CD that was put out. And Marvin can't find his CD, but he's wanting to know if anybody else had that. I know the night before the plane crash, I think he did like 3 shows. One of them was a TV show, and then I think he did 2 shows in a theater. So I'm not sure which one, but he did like 3 shows the night before. And then, of course, the Psycho Platters mentioned earlier that the show he was going to in Madison, Wisconsin, the opening act was a band called the Grim Reapers, that was the first version of Cheap Trick.
Okay.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, he covered a lot of ground, but like I said, me and my friends were the biggest blues fans ever in about 60. I'm going to say 68. You know, it was pre-Led Zeppelin, pre-Woodstock, post-British invasion. There was that window of time there, you know, between some really great rock and roll things happening, that we just drifted off into soul music, and that became our genre of choice for a while. Did you ever experience that, Daddy Boggs?
I can recall 1968 coming back from Germany. Hey Jude was the big song.
Yeah.
I mean, and that and Cream, they had In a White Room. Those 2 songs were so popular at the end of 1968. Then came the Chambers Brothers. Time Has Come Today.
Yeah, that was a great song.
And so some songs you just don't forget.
No, you don't forget that. No.
Well, Otis Redding never knew how famous Sitting on the Dock of the Bay became.
No, he never did.
He recorded it 3 days before the plane crash.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was, and I think it was released 30 days after his death.
Yeah.
So he never knew what an impact that song had.
Yeah. Well, sadly, the weather was very poor when they left. They were warned about it. You know, it was heavy rain, fog. And I don't know why so many people take off in that. I never wanted to fly in rain and fog, you know. I mean, I wasn't an instrument-rated pilot, so it makes a big difference.
How much was Kobe Bryant's wife awarded for those illegal pictures that were taken?
For those, gruesome. How much was that? I don't remember.
It was millions, wasn't it?
Millions.
It was definitely millions, many millions. Yeah.
Might be 50 million.
You know, yeah. Otis had 4,500 people came to his funeral. They actually postponed it because so many people wanted to come. They wanted to make sure they had the room for it. And of course, 3 days after he recorded Sitting on the Dock of the Bay is when the plane crash occurred. And that was let's see, studio albums. Let's see. I wanted to find. I'm looking for the notes I had on his European tour. You know, because he did. Let's see. He did tour Europe and played in England and France and so many other places. And I had some notes on that here somewhere, and I'm sorry, I just can't find them. Yeah.
Oh, so, I have to give a shout out to Gloria.
Okay, great.
She came on Rachel's show in the chat.
Oh, did she?
And they thought maybe she wasn't a woman because there was some conversation before that about some woman coming on that may not be woman.
Oh,
so I had to verify that she was.
Sorry, Gloria. That's sad.
So I had to put a word in for her.
Oh, good, yeah.
For the collectors out there, something I'd keep an eye out that's worth probably a lot of money, and I don't know if there's any of them left. Right. Is the poster for the concert that never was by Otis Redding, the one in Madison, Wisconsin. There was a poster made up. I think there was just a couple of hundred of them made up, and I did see where one of them sold for like $180,000 for a poster. Wow. So if you ever find one, I can't even find a facsimile of one. I can't find one anywhere.
Wow. If I'd have known that when I was in Haight-Ashbury, that video you watched, Dan, I went into a store that was full of reproduced. I mean,
I've been in that store before. Yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I would have. I wouldn't have known at the time, but I would have been looking for it if I go back up there. Even a reproduction of it would be cool.
Yeah,
in a way, it's sad in another way, but so Marvin's out there. Pot equals pop. Sorry, Raphael. let me see what Marvin's got going here. Monterey Pot was such a big deal that the Rolling Stone had pages about it. Some mag. I bought several of the albums and became a huge fan. Okay. I think you mean Monterey Pop.
Yeah, he corrected himself later.
Okay. All right.
Something I think is pretty nice, though. You mentioned earlier how Little Richard was one of his inspirations.
Yeah, that's right.
And when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it was Little Richard that inducted him. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he left Little Richard because Little Richard had gone off kind of just doing gospel for a while. And that's when Otis left, And let's see.
And we got Jerry Lee Lewis. He's still out there.
Yeah. I just saw a recent picture of Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, I've got that album of his that's got the Sun record label. That's pretty kind of rare, I guess. I actually have 2 copies of it. It can't be that rare if I've got 2 copies, but.
Well, you take Mr. Jordan. He did a vlog at his home or his museum. He's something else, Jordan, with his videos.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
He had one on Jerry Lee Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about it.
I think I actually saw that. It was months ago, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about how much money that Otis Redding had made. I just read on here that his worth at the time of his death was $10 million.
Wow.
Right.
And that was in 1967.
1967. Right.
So, I don't know what that'd be worth. It'd be worth a lot more.
I mean, he really made a lot of money. I mean, for the times and everything. He just really killed it. But let's see. So does anybody have any information on his European tours? I think he may have went twice to Europe. And let's see. Okay. All right. One of his live albums was live in Europe. Okay. All right. That's not what I was looking for, folks. Let's see. Body recovery. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to look at.
That's when I was 67, 68.
See, I was only 10 years old then. I wasn't really into. I was into the Monkees about that time.
Just amazing where the years go.
You know what? Everybody was into the Monkees. Everybody. Then they had the other show with Paul Revere and the Raiders. They were both on, and those were actually fun times. Let's see. The Bee Gees. Okay, let's see. Gloria's got something to say. The Bee Gees wrote "To Love Somebody." That's a really good song. I've got 5 or 6 Bee Gees albums myself. And Otis Redding listened to that song. Right on. Thank you, Gloria. That's a cool fact there. Thank you. Okay, we've got Dave the pickup artist just joined us. I found 2 Jerry Lee albums in the Wild Cheap last month. Oh, that's cool. Like I said, I've got two of the same album on the Sun label. I didn't realize that the Sun label is, kind of semi-collectible. They're a little harder to come by, but maybe not for those guys. Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, and some of the older bands. They were all on the Sun label. Maybe even Johnny Cash.
Elvis at the beginning.
Okay, so Jeff, you have the Monkees box set, or you've seen it, or you have it, or just curious. We did a show.
He must have it.
We did a recent show on box sets, and it was I had fun doing it. There's so many out there. Everybody has at least one box set. And some of the bands are just going from album to album and releasing box sets. They put all these different outtakes and stuff that didn't make it on the albums. And
you got various versions.
Various versions, yeah. Various versions.
Unreleased.
Pictures in there, usually a really nice color booklet. Yeah. And man, I mean, I tell you what, that Use Your Illusions 1 and 2 Guns N' Roses box set's $499. You got pre-order it and prepay for it. And then they give you a potential ship date. Okay, so yes, the box set of their TV shows. Okay, Jeff's got the box set of their TV shows, the Monkees. Now that would be fun. Talk about a walk through memory lane, watching the Monkees TV shows over again. I grew up watching those too. They were fun.
I went from watching the Monkees, then when they were gone, I started watching the Partridge Family. Then once the Partridge Family's gone, Black Sabbath. I made a big jump.
That is a big jump. That is a big jump. So yeah, Otis Redding, he like I said, I was kind of inspired to do this when I bought this CD, The Ultimate Otis Redding, with 10 songs on it. And I started playing it. It reminded me how much I loved Otis Redding singing, his music, and how much he meant to me, growing up as a young teenager, and continued to over the years. I've always had some of his music, and a lot of it was maybe on cassettes and things like that. I mean, the media keeps changing, going from physical media to streaming now. People are buying, $2 songs instead of $30 albums, and it's all, we don't know where it's going to all end up. I think physical media will ultimately make a comeback, even with the young people that are just streaming. I'm not sure. They may want to own it physically someday themselves as well. Just like we do. We own albums, we own CDs, and we play the music. And I do go on like YouTube and watch music videos, and just I'll go to an album and just start with the first song and just go through, And it's sometimes even stuff I'm thinking about buying, just to hear it first and see if I really want to buy it.
It has to reach a point where you have 200 albums, and in a couple of years, there's probably 50 of them you haven't played in years. They sit on the shelf.
I have some I haven't even opened, to be honest with you. And you're right. I mean, I've got that 5-box set of Bruce Springsteen. I don't even know where I got it, but all the vinyl's in pristine condition. It comes with a nice booklet. But I haven't played a single one of those albums.
And if you hook up with that woman who has the 160 CDs or whatever, that's going to keep you busy.
No, well, I have the 160. If you look over, let's see,
600, whatever shit.
This shoulder,
right?
The 160 are sitting right there.
Yeah.
No, the woman I'm talking about, I went to high school with. Richie probably knows her. She was my age.
She's got like 600 CDs or something?
She's got, 500.
500.
I was given this 160 CDs by a guy I knew for about 10 minutes. He lived in an apartment building and caught on fire. The housing authority hired me to go over there and repair it. And we started talking about music one day, and then the next day he walked out and goes, do you like CDs? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, why? He goes, well, I got a bunch. I don't want them anymore. He went and got this huge box. It was 160 CDs. I mean, I got like 5 or 6 Pink Floyds. There was some Led Zeppelin. There was some Jimi Hendrix. Double album sets of like groups like the Band. I mean, somebody asked me the other day, Don't even look. I want you to grab 6 and tell me what you have. I went over there and I cheated. I knew right away when I walked up which side I was on, and I spun it and grabbed the top 6 on the other side.
I seen that on Rachel's show. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff in there, and to be honest with you, there was some not so good stuff in there. I mean, I don't have a problem with classical music. I just never listened to it, And there was a little bit of stuff like that in there, and some of the CDs were actually were made, from the originals. But I played them all. Even some of the Pink Floyd were made from the originals. And I have like some Kenny Wayne Shepherd, some Johnny Lang. There's Eric Clapton's in there. And I mean, it's just really a lot of good stuff. Santana is in there. And a lot of stuff that I've owned or would own, And yeah, this friend of mine named Rita, she said she's got 500 CDs. It was her husband's collection. She asked me if I knew anybody that wanted it. I was like, yes, right here, I'll take it. And she goes, well, okay, let's meet over by Palm Springs in October. So October was drawing near a couple of weeks ago. I called her and said, hey, Rita, we're still going to meet in Palm Springs? And she goes, well, that's actually Indio, about 20 miles away. I'm like, okay, that's no problem. She goes, but something came up and I can't do it till November.
Hey, you pick and choose what you want. That's all.
Yeah, so we're supposed to go in November over by Palm Springs and meet up with Rita and hang out a little bit and stuff like that. She's supposed to be giving me 500 CDs, and unless something changes, I know last week she was in the hospital. I felt really bad.
Well, you know what? I think the best way to get really good album collection, vinyl, is at estate sales. We're baby boomers, and we baby boomers are getting old, and we got all the good albums. So
I talk to people that are I don't know, maybe 20, 30 years old, right? They haven't even heard of half the bands that we listen to. It's amazing. And you go, what? I mean,
I've got some stuff in the CD collection. I've got some stuff in the CD collection, and prior to that, I was given about 25 albums. And somebody I knew, they were kept in a metal storage building, and it leaked, and the covers were kind of all stuck together. So I had to try to carefully get the covers apart, and some of the vinyl was so dirty and covered with little paper fibers and stuff. It took about 3 washings, And I mean 3 washings with Royce's, magic vinyl cleaner.
Royce's. Oh gosh, is that on the market anywhere?
No.
You got to put it on Mike Lindell's shopping network.
But I do make it in quantities.
Although I got to say one thing about my backdrop. This is really a classic backdrop.
It's the Beatles' White Album.
It's from it's a Giza sheet from my sheets. Mike Lindell, My Pillow.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Giza sheet from cotton, made in a really remote place in Africa.
Oh, I thought it was Egypt. Like
Giza. It's a Giza sheet.
It's Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah, what's the thread count on that?
What?
What's the thread count?
Oh, it's something like 800 or something.
Wow. I see a few stains on it.
You don't even feel it when you get in. You just slide in there. You don't even feel it. No, I don't know. That's a bunch of bullcorn.
Yeah, I know that. That's for sure. We had a couple of those pillows that he makes, and
I got a couple of them too.
I really wasn't overly impressed with them.
I like mine. He really has a sales pitch. I like mine, but I wanted my slippers. I wanted the slippers, and I can't get Miley to order them for me. And they're down to $49. They were $139.
Yeah, he's a hell of a promoter. There's no doubt he's a hell of a promoter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he comes on with that big smile, and he's like hugging his pillow, and
Oh man, the news show I watch, he's on there every other commercial. I mean, you gotta hand it to the guy. He spends a lot of money advertising.
Yeah, he spends a lot of money advertising. Yeah.
And then it shows him on his private jet on like a feed where comes on to talk. He's on this really cool. It's not a big jet, but it's really cushy seats and the whole bit.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm sure he's made an absolute fortune doing what he does.
Yeah, he's funny dude. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention my Giza sheets and
okay.
Well,
Danny Boggs, Well, Richie, how about you in soul music? You knew me and all my friends. We were 3 years older than you, but you knew me and all my friends became huge soul fans. For a while there, that's all we were listening to.
Well, if you talk about soul, you talk about when I started playing music. I'm the only one like in the band, you know, like with Barry and Kelly and those guys and Fresh Candy. I'm the only one that would pick some of that type of music to do.
Oh, I see.
I'd come up. They would be happy to do it though, and it came off good. But I did. Oh my gosh, I did a lot of stuff. Of course,
I was going to ask you what some of the songs were.
If I can remember anything now, like of course, I don't know if you call Temptations soul, but
yeah, I do. Yeah, I call.
And then we did, of course, James Brown, and who's the guys that did It Only Takes a Minute? Only takes a minute, girl. Yeah. Fall in love. OJs, yeah. We did some OJs, and we did. That was a good one, man. Good trivia.
Right.
And what else we do? I did them all. You know, I would go through because I was into all that stuff, and I could think of probably some other ones too.
The Drifters.
And then we got into Motown stuff. It was kind of soulish too, you know.
Oh yeah, no, Motown was soul. Yeah, definitely.
And we did of course, we did Sugar Pie Honey Bun and Same Old Song. We did that in a medley. Yeah. Same old song.
Four Tops.
Yeah.
Right.
We did those kinds of things, and then we did one by what's the one? I can't get no rest. Don't know how I work all day. What was that one? Was that
I know that song. Yeah.
When will I learn? Memories get in the way. I don't remember the name of the song.
I remember the song, but I can't.
Da, 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 da. I can't remember the name of the song though.
I can't either. Oh,
it's right. It's right there. It's right there.
It wasn't Lionel Richie.
Work all day.
Yeah.
No.
Can't get no rest.
Lord, I'm so tired.
Mr. You guys want to have fun? Go watch Mr. Bizarro, Aaron's show. And Aaron plays live albums. They just play music all the way through the show, and then they have a fun chat. And Aaron and his crew, they're a bunch of fun guys. He calls himself Mr. Bizarro. His name is Aaron, and he's got a great show. And I think they put 2 on last night, and I couldn't watch them. I was busy. But I always enjoy it when I go to Mr. Bizarro's channel. You know.
What about some of the ladies? What about some of the ladies like Donna Summer and Roberta Flack and some of those ladies that did like
Aretha Franklin, Etta James.
Jackie used to do a bunch of those songs, and when we were just a duet,
right.
You know, they were nice songs. We pulled them off as just 2 people. It was crazy, you know.
Wow. Well, you know, I went on a blues cruise. I was part of the San Luis Obispo Blues Society for a couple of years, and they send out a newsletter. And they finally announced they were sponsoring a cruise to the Caribbean, you know, a blues cruise, and all the acts, you know, every night a different act plays. They were all going to be blues acts, some of whom had already came and played, you know, because we went to these monthly concerts at the blues for the Blues Society that they put on. So some of them I'd already seen, but Etta James was supposed to be the headliner. We were going to stop in St. Thomas and a couple of other islands, and Hurricane Marilyn went through and kind of wiped some of the islands out. I mean, we showed up at one island, wasn't even sand on the beach. It all been washed away. And, but St. Thomas was nice. My wife's brother, Joey, was there. FEMA had hired him. Like I said, Hurricane Marilyn had went through. I'm sure hurricanes are on all our minds right now because of Florida, but Hurricane Marilyn went to the Caribbean and just completely thrashed these islands. And so we went to St. Thomas. Her brother was there working for FEMA. He was going around writing up all these, jobs that needed to be rehabbed. And we were driving through these little areas, and these Rastafarian looking guys would be like this, watching us drive by on their porches. And Joey would have it. We'd be in Joey's Jeep that said FEMA on the side. He goes, if you weren't with me, you'd be having a problem right now. But they know FEMA brings in the money, so they won't bother us.
What about some of the guys? What about some of the guys that were kind of right on the line there into the soul, kind of 50 style rock into the soul thing, like Fats Domino, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Ain't That a Shame? You know, that was kind of pretty close in there, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. Soul.
First name was Antoine.
Yeah.
You make me cry when you said goodbye. Ain't that a shame? My tears fell like rain.
Here's a cup.
Ain't that a shame? I'm only one more line.
You got a cup there?
No one to blame.
You heard it here, live music, baby.
Yeah.
This is the real stuff right here.
Stuff like that was really cool. Okay, but Daddy Bog's got an album.
I got 4 albums I'm going to show, and we could talk. If you want to talk about them, I'm sure some of these people were influenced by Otis.
Okay. No,
Lionel Richie.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? A whole lot of people were influenced by him and name him as their influence. A whole lot of rock bands.
Well, he was with the Commodores, and then he went solo.
He was with the Commodores, yeah.
I love the Commodores, man. They had some good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah. Back in the 80s or 70s, anyway. Man, they were doing
Marvin
some stuff.
Gaye. Marvin Gaye, Heard It Through the Grapevine. That's one of the greatest soul songs of all time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye to me was right there with really close to Otis Redding. I always have to give Otis Redding the nod, but Marvin Gaye, Otis Redding, The Temptations, I loved all those bands. Oh, Jimmy Ruffin?
Ruffin.
Okay. Top 10. So what are some of his top songs there, Boggs?
I Passed This Way Before. Going to Give Her All the Love I Got. What Becomes of the Brokenhearted. That's a big song.
That's a big song.
Yeah.
You can't forget Percy.
Yeah.
Halfway to Paradise.
Percy Sledge, yeah.
Remember James Sledge and Henderson? What if they were related? James and Percy.
God.
Well, he had the brother David Ruffin. There's Jimmy and David Ruffin. And I got one more.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, yeah. Yeah, hey, Daddy Boggs, what songs are on that one?
All the hits. Shop Around.
Tears
of a Clown.
Oh yeah.
Going to a Go-Go.
Tears of a Clown, I think, was his number one hit.
Going to a Go-Go.
Okay.
The Tracks of My Tears.
Yeah, that was huge.
Ooh, Baby, Baby.
Nice.
Yeah, I was just doing that one.
You really got a hold on me. Mickey's Monkey. That Lumdy Lie. I second that emotion.
Oh, that's a great song.
Cruising. And Being With You. All great hits.
Oh, those are great hits, yeah. Smokey Robinson, we did a show recently, 2 weeks back, on songwriters. And oh my God, what a songwriter he was. He wrote
did they sing him that high on purpose so nobody else could do it,
No, he did. He had a really high-pitched voice.
You had to get a girl singer to sing his songs,
I can't say he was one of my favorite singers, but he was a phenomenal writer and he had great songs. And he wrote My Girl for the Temptations, which was their number one hit. Then he turned around for Mary Wells and wrote My Guy. So he wrote My Girl and My Guy, and they were both big hits for both those artists. His catalog of songs is like, he wrote stuff.
You think about some of those early girl groups,
we did all those songs, man. We did all those songs.
The Orlons, the Chiffons.
Yeah. Well, you need
He's So Fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones you're talking about recently here. But yeah.
Hey, Royce, I got a picture of Otis Redding's grave site.
Okay, I see that. Let me pop that up, Dan. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that in
pretty nice?
Georgia?
Yeah, that's in Georgia. It's on his ranch, the Otis Redding Ranch.
So, okay.
What was the rumor going around? He didn't commit suicide then.
No.
There was a rumor going around for years that he committed suicide.
You know who started that rumor? And I believed it for a while. It was Charles Long.
Oh, you got to be kidding. It was just a Henderson rumor?
He'd tell this big, long story about how Otis Redding died, and he had everybody in town.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know he died. He didn't die in the plane crash, or did he die?
No, he did.
He did, okay. I heard you talking about him holding on to something,
Yeah.
Well, that was the trumpet player.
Oh, that was the trumpet player. Did he live?
Yeah, the trumpet player, he lived, but he passed away. He passed away in 2015. Yeah, the entire band was killed except for the trumpet player.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
When I heard that rumor about him committing suicide, then you listen to Dock of the Bay, and it kind of goes together,
Yeah.
And it just like Dock of the Bay, just like it's kind of a goodbye song type of thing. Right. Looks like nothing's going to change. Everything's remain the same. And so that rumor's going around. Wow, that's a really cool song that he went out on, but it wasn't even true.
No.
Wow.
No. Have you ever heard a more emotional voice though than Otis Redding's? I mean, the range of emotion in his voice is just crazy. I mean, that's pretty much how you describe his voice. Range of emotions, not range of, highs and lows and octaves and all those things. It's the emotion.
There was a rumor going around that he was a member of the Temptations at one point, but I was reading up on it, but it was Otis somebody else. But somebody started that rumor too.
That before.
I have another individual. How about Jackie Wilson?
Oh yeah, Jackie Wilson. Yeah. He's right up there in the top guys. Yeah.
There was a lot of them that I never heard a lot of, but every once in a while you'd see him after years and you say, oh, that song, that guy did that song,
Yeah.
I saw Frankie Valli the other night and the Four Seasons, but they weren't the regular Four Seasons. Yeah. He's like in his 80s, right?
Yeah.
And he was playing this big old live thing, doing some of his old songs and stuff. It was amazing.
I saw that play in Las Vegas, Jersey Boys. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He did that one song for me, Don Go Away.
Please. No.
Is that Go Away, You Too Good For Me or something like that? Okay, here's Marvin talking about the last European tour. It was filmed. I don't know for sure, but I've heard a few times over the decades. Yeah. Well, I would like to know that too. Thanks, Marvin. Appreciate it. Appreciate hearing that. So anyway, I liked a lot of those soul bands a lot. I mean, that's all I listened to for a while. I already mentioned that. But one of my favorite videos to watch on YouTube is look up Junior Walker and the All-Stars doing Shotgun. Have you ever seen
Shotgun?
That?
Yeah.
Another song.
Oh my God. And they're pumping the shotguns as they're dancing all wild and crazy. And standing behind them, wearing a suit with the other bass player and the horn players is Jimi Hendrix, and they're all rocking back and forth as they play.
Oh my gosh.
And they're supposed to be really conservative. But Jimmy, he can't just maintain his position. He would turn his hand up over the top of the guitar and note the fretboard, and turn it back around. He had to be doing something. He can't
doing
just
the Jimmy thing.
He can't just sit there and play his role and rock back and forth. But every time I see that video, I just die. I think it's just hilarious.
I think they had one. I think one had a big hit. What Does It Take?
Yeah.
Junior Walker and the All Stars. What Does It Take?
Is that the song? No, they were doing
another one they had.
Another one they had.
Yeah. Win Your Love From Me.
Right. But I mean, Jimmy played for a lot of people. It wasn't just them. He lived with one of the Isley brothers and played with them for several years and lived with one of them for several years. Yeah, he played with all kinds of those.
He started out with Joey D and the Starlighters in New York City. Did you know that?
Yeah. I love what he said about. I love what Ike Turner says about
Ike
Jimmy
Turner.
Hendrix.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know Dan heard me say
Give me
this
again,
before.
Ike. This time put some stank on it.
He was playing in the band for Ike Turner and Ike and Tina Turner, and Ike says somebody, an interviewer was interviewing Ike Turner, and they go, "I understand you fired Jimi Hendrix." He goes, "Well, I fired him." Well, why did you fire him? He goes, "Well, he had all those pedals. He had this pedal, he had that pedal, he had the fuzz and the wah. I didn't like all that. And he only did was mess with them pedals. He played with them pedals more than he played music. So I fired him." And that's exactly what he said. And I tell you what, if you go on YouTube and Google that, or not Google it, but do a search, you'll find that interview, and it'll really crack you up. And he goes, "Well, when I started hearing about Jimi Hendrix being a rock god, I didn't know it was the same Jimi Hendrix."
Wow.
It just kills me every time I see that.
Angela in the chat cleared up the Otis thing about the Temptations.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Said Otis Williams. Yeah, Otis Williams is the Temptations guy founding member and the last original member still alive.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. I was reading that a little earlier, but I didn't say anything. I was reading that about Otis Williams.
Every once in a while you just get lucky. You think these bands that you loved years ago, 35, 40 years ago, they're not around anymore. Well, several years
ago. About
ago.
60 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
My question is who's going to bring this stuff back? Who's going to bring it back? Who is going to bring it back? And that is a tough one. Somebody to bring back the classic rock sound. Not exactly the same, but we need that flavor again,
Well,
each generation is different.
Yeah, but the classic rock sound, I remember being in high school wondering if people would still be listening to Led Zeppelin in 10 years, And it's like 1969,
I think it's dwindling though. See, even here locally in Dallas, our number one rock station just closed its doors the other day. Now it's a sports channel.
Really?
Yeah. And so I don't know what it is with the radio stations. I mean, they're not playing the music.
Is there any bands you guys know about that have any potential of getting that type of style and sound?
Tribute bands.
Tribute bands, yeah.
What band?
Yeah, not any originals, huh?
No, tribute.
Oh, okay, tribute bands, yeah. Well, I got lucky when I started to say 12 years ago or so, right here at our Paso Fairgrounds. And I know you've been there with us, Rich. Paso Fairgrounds, they have a lot of concerts there. And you and Shelley came up with Little Rich and her daughter. But anyway, the Temptations played with the Four Tops. And when I heard that, it just blew me out. I mean,
that's another one, yeah.
This is a large concert venue.
Yeah.
But for that show, they just put these big tables out covered with white tablecloths. And you could just sit there at a table and watch it. And I think the Four Tops came out first, and then the Temptations afterward. Then they both came out, and they were all performing together. And they actually came back the very next year and did it again. And I tell you what, when I get to see stuff like that, it means everything to me. I wouldn't have expected either one of those bands to have been out touring.
I had a drummer that played with the Four Tops. He was in my band for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sometime in his career, he played with the Four Tops for a little while.
Well, you take the lead singer, Levi Stubbs, he's gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough when you lose your main man.
Then I had another drummer, John Rogers, who was in Florida. He was just in the Hurricane. He played with who does Rock Me Like a Hurricane?
Scorpions.
Yeah, Scorpions. Okay.
Scorpions, that's the name of the band?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here I am. Yep. Maybe that was the band he played in. I don't know.
They're from Germany.
I thought it was Quiet Riot he played in. Maybe I'm wrong about the song.
Love at First Sting. I've got that album.
Right.
That was part of my.
He was an excellent drummer. He worked with me for about 2 years, I think.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, you played with a lot of people. That's really cool. I missed most of it because I'd moved to California when I was.
I ran across some people and
they 19 years old.
Who's that drummer who passed away not too long ago? Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah.
Taylor Hawkins, drummer for the Foo Fighters. Yeah.
Royce used to come when he was in town and come to a gig if I was playing in a bar on the weekends or one of the clubs around. And we did a video in Richie and the Crocodiles, and we got him on the dance floor for quite a while.
My God.
A couple of times.
You have that
going
video
at it, man. Huh?
You have that
We're
video?
going at it. Huh?
I don't even want to talk about it.
No, you didn't look bad. You had some moves.
I had some moves, yeah. Well, I've always had some moves.
Not like a crack up. So that was a good video. It got us a lot of gigs. Or it got us some good gigs, I should say. Those gigs lasted a long time with that band. One gig in that band lasted 4 years. At the Boulder Dam Hotel. We played there
that's that hotel
years,
in Boulder City. Those guys paid you really well too, didn't they?
Yeah, it was good. 3 nights a week, and then they called us up and said we could have Thanksgiving and Christmas off because it fell on one of our nights we played, and they paid us even paid holidays. That was a first for a band,
Yeah, you never hear about stuff like that.
I said, wait a minute, we can't take those days off. I told the owner's son who managed the club. I said we can't afford to take that off. We got kids and stuff. It's Christmas. He goes, we're going to pay you, and I said, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Marvin, that sounds like something out of the Blues Brothers, man.
I'll be glad to take it off. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we dressed almost like the Blues Brothers, except we didn't wear the glasses or the. We had the little skinny ties, white shirts, black pants, but we wore red high top tennis shoes, Converse.
Well, you know what? All I had to do when I went back to Henderson to find my friends was go to wherever my younger brother was playing. They would all be there.
They were, that's how I got be friends with a lot of your friends. They were coming to the gigs,
Right. Jimmy
cool.
Anderson and Miles and George Mason and Adolph Salazar.
Crazy.
I mean,
it's amazing as you get older, people all over the place. Every state just about, you got somebody living somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I kind of miss Henderson a little bit.
So you avoided all the damage from Hurricane Ian. Yeah.
What had happened is it went up the middle of the state,
right,
and it decided to visit Orlando. So it went right, and I was to the left. So it went right up through Orlando, up through Jacksonville. And what we got was a little rain and wind, luckily.
Wow. That is a lucky one.
When you look at the pictures of Fort Myers and even parts of Orlando got hit hard.
What is that? There's a Sima Beach or a Sima Beach or whatever. Have you heard of that?
Sanibel Island?
Yeah, Sanibel Island.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Sanibel Island, where the road got separated.
Anyway, I think John was in that area. But he said that was his 11th hurricane since he moved back there.
No.
Richie, you'd like my friend. I've got a post. He just joined us. JB Tharp. He's a musician. He's a guitar player, and he's trying to play in clubs in all 50 states. And so he's always all over the place, playing and singing. And JB, this is my younger brother Richie. He's been a musician his whole life. He's even got a guitar he's leaning on right now.
It's holding me up my old age.
Hey, Sam Cooke, Bring It On Home to Me. I think that's my favorite Sam Cooke song.
Who did
If You Ever Change Your Mind
Hold On, I'm Coming. Hold on.
Sam and Dave.
Sam and Dave. Okay, I thought it was Sam Cooke for a minute. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you know that song, If You Ever Change Your Mind? About
If you ever change your mind.
Me behind.
Well, Royce, you did a video. Royce did a video, and I was kidding the panel about Sam Cooke. And what's his name? Herndon. He leans forward. He says, "The Sam Cooke next?"
Yeah, I think I know the chords.
and Michael McVie said, "No." So I said a few minutes later that Jason's teasing me with Sam Cooke. Anything to keep me here.
Hey, come on now! You teased all of us for a long time with Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
You must have been a big Sam Cooke fan. I think he's fantastic.
I don't even have an album by him.
I used to screw around and try to play that song. If you ever
Cupid.
change your mind
If you ever change, here, you can sing it.
If you ever
change your mind
about leaving me behind.
Leaving me behind. Bring it on home. Bring your
something like that, huh?
Well, yeah, the one.
JB, you need to join us, JB. You ought to bring your guitar on here.
Yeah.
And you
We're
not in sync, though, but it's still fun.
No.
He had the one, Don't Know Much About History. Don't know much about history.
Don't know much geography, but I do know that I love you.
Don't know much biology. That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, Twisting the Night Away.
Yeah, I seen Rod Stewart live. He did that when the whole crowd was up, man.
Working on the Chain Gang.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Twisting the Night Away.
Right.
Cupid.
See, those guys did those songs. They did those songs early. Then a little bit later, bands like classic rock bands picked those up. Picked a lot of those songs up and did them. Did a good job on them too.
Hey JB, if you want to grab your guitar, you and my brother can do that. Do you ever change your mind, Sam Cooke song?
But we're not in sync.
We're just. You're not in sync.
Maybe if I listen to him first, I can like delay mine. And
well, how come you're always so out of sync? I don't get it.
Well, we're talking's not. But if I'm playing, and you guys are singing, we're out of sync.
Okay.
Maybe it's you guys. I don't know.
maybe it is. Yeah.
That happens to the website. I'm on Tuesday night. The two brothers, Royce, you know the two brothers.
Oh yeah, the Beach Boys. Beach
Boys talk.
Yeah.
Well, they try to sing together and they're out of sync.
Okay.
I don't understand that either. If we can sit here and talk and be in sync, why can't we? Right. I don't understand that.
Well, music is more precise.
Oh, it is?
It's just more precise than us speaking. There may be a millisecond delay between us talking, but a millisecond in music, it's going to...
Big difference.
Yeah. It's like a big difference. It's like a big difference. We're used to talking over each other.
Yeah.
Give me a break. 1,000th of a second. We're going to notice that? I don't think so. When he laughed, he should have laughed sooner. Sometimes when I say something, you guys aren't hearing me exactly when I'm saying it.
No, I'm reading your lips as you're talking right now, and it's perfectly in sync.
It's an illusion. You think it's a mind thing,
Yeah, I had so many notes for this show. It actually got kind of confusing. I had like about 15 pages of notes, a lot of stuff highlighted and everything like that. And I was still printing stuff right before the show started.
Well, when you mentioned Otis Redding, I didn't think you'd have enough to carry a show for one individual.
Well, yeah, I know.
I mean, it's not Elvis or Chuck Berry. Somebody who.
Right. I didn't know Otis Redding did all those songs.
Yeah.
The only one I ever knew was Dock of the Bay, and we did that every night for 20 years.
Yeah.
For 30 years.
Go ahead, do it now. Go for it.
Well, we can do a little bit of it maybe. It's been a long time. How about we just start from? No, I don't know. Let's start from this one. Left my home in Georgia. Well, I headed for the Frisco Bay. And what is that?
I had
nothing to live for. Looks like nothing gonna come my way. So I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Looks like nothing gonna change. Everything gonna remain the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Something like that. I can't do it really.
Did you know Did you know there was going to be another verse to that song, and he didn't come up with one? So that's why he whistles at the end.
It's been a long time. I did it for 20 years, but it's been 20 years since I've done it. You know who
really had a powerful whistle was our dad.
Somebody get it. I can't hit it with my teeth, and I can't hit it.
Good night, Marvin. Take care, buddy.
You chased him away.
Hey, JB, come on now. Come on, you're just joshing us here.
I'm not as good as Richie. I posted it on Facebook. Who's this, JB?
Yeah, JB. JB's the one I was telling you, a friend of mine that he's going around to all these different states, trying to play in all these open mic venues and stuff, and he always posts them on Facebook. It's fun to watch.
Let's throw one on here. Let's see it.
You're right. Yeah, if you can figure that out, Dan could help you.
Yeah.
I love the oldies too. Yeah.
How about Lou Royals? Does he count?
Who?
Lou Royals.
Oh, Lou Rawls. Yeah.
Oh, Lou Rawls. Yeah.
Big time. Oh man, what a soulful voice he had. I love Lou Rawls. He's great.
You'll never find another love like mine. You'll be searching it, something like that. I used to do that song a long time ago. Shut up, my dog's back here whining. You hear him?
Yeah, I do.
That's Peppy. Now he's mad at me because I played. He's like, okay, come here. He gets mad at me if I do it because it gets his ears.
Right. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
You know what his name is?
Huh?
No.
You know what his name is? No.
Snoopy.
Stay.
Stay.
He's got a tag.
What's his name?
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I actually thought this was going to be a very short show tonight, and it actually could have been much shorter. And yet we've gone over about 20 minutes. So I think we're just going to call it.
Hey, Royce.
Yeah.
I got the JB video if you want to bring that up.
Absolutely. Good. Okay, here's JB. Here we go. Let's do this.
Let me start it up here.
Okay.
I've seen this guy before.
The post office.
Oh, there's no audio?
Well, there's got to be. Come on. Come on.
Hold on. Let me do it again.
Okay.
I think I forgot to check a box here.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
Move from stream.
I got to figure out how to put videos up. I'll be calling you, Dan.
Yeah, I've never done this with Facebook before, so this is new to me.
Okay.
And StreamYard.
Okay, so there'll be a new one popping up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
Oh no, go ahead and make that one go away.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, okay, I got it. Okay, there we go.
You guys act like you're operating a spaceship or something. Two guys on the panel.
It's close to it.
Two guys on the board.
So is it the same video?
Yeah, same video here. Let's see.
Just let me know when it's ready then.
Okay, it says share audio. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, bring it up.
Okay, let's see.
Here it goes.
Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Okay, there we go.
Well, if you ever
Here we go.
change your mind about leaving me behind, oh, bring to me, bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now I left when you left, and I was only hurt myself. Oh, bring it to me, bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me.
Right on.
Money, jewelry too. It's not all I give to you. Oh, bring it to me. Bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. Yeah. Now we never change your mind about leaving me behind. Oh, bring it to me. Bring your sweet love in. Bring it on home to me.
Right on.
JB, thank you, buddy. Thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Now you can bring the curtain down.
Hey, Angela, this is great. I did not know that they finished the song with the whistle because it wasn't done.
Yeah, he had one verse. He had one verse he was going to finish, and he never did.
Wow, that's an amazing fact, Angela. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And JB, thank you, buddy. We really appreciate this happening here tonight. It really adds to the show, and you did a really good job.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, God. On that note, I think we are going to end the show. Then I want to thank everybody in the chat.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate everyone that's subscribed, and if there's anybody there that hasn't subscribed, please do. It doesn't cost a penny. It just helps the show grow. We're steadily building up our subscribers and things. And if you don't mind, hit the like button, the thumbs up button down below. What it does, it tells the algorithm that people are watching and liking our show. So when people do a YouTube search and they're looking for something to watch, the algorithm will go, hey, let's offer as one of their options Royce in the House. People seem to like that. They're hitting the thumbs up button. So it helps the algorithm to alert people that we're out here and people are enjoying the show. They're liking the show. So thank you very much. I want to thank everybody in the chat, all my friends in the chat. Love you all. And we shall see you next week, and we will put a blockbuster of a show on for you. Thank you very much. And
good night, everybody.
What's going on in Royce's world today? Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Good night, Richie.
Good night. See you guys later.
Night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I promise I'll get some different material next time.